Happy afternoon. I'm Dr. Juan Trand. For students who do not know me, I have alongside me Miss Tracy Brown. She's part of reading now. Thank you for coming on board, Tracy.
Thank you.
She's certainly been a great resource for us in terms of the staff side of things, and will certainly can answer questions regarding budget and money matters for those sort of questions. This is meant to be an informal meeting for Q&A, and I imagine that you've seen the announcements. You're wondering how you should go about applying here. It's a lot of information, especially for students. If it's the first time around applying for a grant, lots to absorb, but we're here to help and provide as much insight as we can to assist you. So I'm just going to open up the floor now and see if anybody has any questions to begin with. And I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen just to pull up the application itself, instructions for the students, and maybe that will prompt some questions or distill some thoughts. And if you need to type it out, please go ahead and type it out as well. We'll try to satisfy everybody in the crowd. Maybe I'll start with this, that the application certainly seems a lot to begin with, but certainly you just chug away at it. Eventually you're going to get there, but of course in consultation with your mentor. And that's the key part. We need some names from your mentor. One of those being the administrative staff person who's going to be responsible for helping you and your mentor with money matters. Once if you are awarded, the money is transferred. From our office, Tracy basically will be able to release the money if you're awarded. But then we're going to really need the name of the person precisely and their email. So that way the proper person receives that information to process your paperwork and funding. In terms of what you can spend from the grant, there are some guidelines. These are based on state funds. I am working on revising an old FAQ document for students that was published last February. I'll have that done by this weekend. But a lot of it has been unchanged. Maybe I'll pull it up just to guide you with that. And it's looking so far something like this. And in terms of what it is that you can spend for your research project or creative activity is, let me go ahead and zoom in a bit and scroll down. These are state funds, and the document here, the FAQ, will be available to you on the website. And you'll see that these are the type of items you should avoid in trying to put into your grant budget, such as food or drink items, contributions and donations. And you can read the rest of those bullet points from there on. So I'll start with that in terms of at least dealing with the whatnots. Don't try to budget in these types of items. Okay. If there is any student, let me see here, we've got a question. And that goes away so fast. I'll put a chat here. It says here that I'm a student in the School of Fine Arts and Communication. I want to know who would be our mentor versus faculty member if we are applying for a creative project? Well, first of all, you have to have a person that will help guide you through that creative project. So that's first and foremost. You have to have a faculty member who will take on the charge of being your mentor in order to be eligible to even apply for this URCA award. So you're going to have to go back to the School of Fine Arts or your department within that school to locate a mentor if you don't already have one. Okay, so these awards are based on the assumption that you already have a mentor worked out, and that mentor will guide you through the project. Hopefully that answers your question. And by the way, feel free to just open the mic too. Okay, here's another question. Under the personal statement, it asks to talk about how the grant would affect your career. Can you talk more about that? Well, in other words, you're going to reach out to these reviewers who review your grant. Tell them about yourself in a personal statement. What sets you apart from everybody else based on your own personal experience here? So that's what we want to know. And I want to give you some context. Before last year, the URCA awards were requiring GPA information. When I came in, we did away with all that because that's not the gold marker really for being an eligible applicant. Instead, we want to hear from you in terms of a personal statement about what your experiences are that help lead you here. I think we provide a few examples of those bullet points that has motivated you, that has inspired you to work on a project with a mentor and also try to apply for this grant funding. And what does that grant funding buy you in terms of overall um, something down the road for you?
Hi, I have a question, or I guess two questions.
Yes, go ahead.
The first one is I'm over in the allied health. I would be a mentor, my students here on the call. And I saw the eligibility was kind of the hard science versus soft science. And it's a little unclear where I would fall on that scale. If the student would qualify for this. So from allied health, communication sciences and disorders, would the student qualify just in that area?
Every student is eligible if they have a mentor and a project to work at or for.
Okay.
So yes,
Perfect.
they would qualify.
Yeah. Great. My second question is, I saw that some things you could use that money for was payment for the student to work on the project. So I have data that he can use. And so is it encouraged, not encouraged to use the majority or all of that grant to go towards paying the student to work on it? Or should there be additional things?
Okay, so yeah, sometimes it's hard to navigate through, ratio-wise compensation versus materials and what's best. There's not really a best formula. Students, uh, I think I've seen a lot of students really put up, maxing out on the citizenship numbers, and that's okay.
Okay.
As long as the rest of the dollar amounts now are pointing to material costs or expenses that really should be amenable to the effort in that project or research experiment.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
Sure. Yeah, you're welcome. I better state it should be commensurate with the amount of expense that's going to be incurred on that project.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey,
Yes.
similar question, kind of along the same line there. I had talked with my mentor about the grant money going towards a payment for my work on the project. How should I kind of go about addressing that in the personal statement? Just because, you know, y'all want some budget with it. and the personal
Okay.
statement kind of asks, what it would go towards.
Well, you don't have to break it down by every bit of minutia when it comes to that. That's going to leave that for your budget in terms of rationale. In your
All right.
personal, yeah, in your personal statement, we want more. Even though you can include maybe a little snippet here and there about what you're going to use the money for, but really it should be some type of larger end. It shouldn't be this, hey, we have a means, we're going to get to the end with those means. It should be more about how the project is fulfilling should you be awarded.
All right, perfect. Yeah, that's what I started writing, but it's like gotta make sure
Yeah,
everything's up to speed.
certainly. Hopefully that clarifies it for you. Think about more the big picture than it is on the minutia. Leave the minutia for the budget itself. Okay. I think there's a question here by Dolaline. I'm not sure we addressed it. Can our mentors be our professors, or would they be the faculty member? Well, yeah. Well, normally a professor is a faculty member, so they're almost one and the same. So if you have already a faculty mentor in line, they're normally also the professor. But make sure that that person you reach out to and are coordinating with, they are serving in both capacities. Normally they are. They're professors plus they're faculty mentors. Okay, so hopefully it clarifies that. Can you have a co-faculty mentor? In other words, can there be a team of mentors? Yes. And on the application, there is a field that allows you to list another mentor if that happens to be a case where there are two mentors. You're very welcome. So if you have two mentors, yes, go ahead and enter the name of the second mentor. If you have another student who is working on the project as a co-investigator, we'll assume that you're going to be the primary investigator on the project. So you're going to be the main investigator. If it's a co-investigator, then also enter the name of that student. And based on the expenses allowed, they certainly also can have a stipend, excuse me, what we call them now, Tracy, we call them assistantships. So we don't call them stipends anymore. As long as it doesn't go beyond the maximum allowed for two students on the same project. Making sure I scan through here and not miss a question. And hopefully you're also able to see some samples that are provided on the URCA website on past awardees and past awards. We've redacted the names of those students who received the awards, but certainly you can use the samples to see whether or not you uh, can start from there and use this as a template for wherever you want to go. Um, these past awards, they're changed every so often. So it's not a guarantee that if you use the template, you're going to be awarded, but certainly it's a starting point. We do have a group of faculty with expertise in different areas that do review those applications on our behalf, on both my behalf and Tracy's behalf for the Office of Undergraduate Research. So we don't have our hands in it. We leave it unbiased, left to um, reviewers made up of other faculty who have different expertise. So just FYI, just to put it out there. Are there any questions for Tracy at all? And Tracy, I'm sure you'll be happy to answer all those questions in your new role. I think I was also about to say that if you're a returning applicant and you were previously awarded an URCA, for example, last fall or last spring, then just make sure that you've already submitted your final report using the final report link. Otherwise, you're not going to be eligible to apply for another round of funding. If you haven't done so by that past deadline, go ahead and do so. I've pretty much waived the deadline for last semester.
Hey, similar question kind of on that line.
Mm-hmm.
But I had talked with my mentor about, since the research project is likely going to be ongoing, is this just the case of if after this semester my mentor wants me to come back on and do more research, is that the case of I would just fill out the application again for the ongoing research?
Yes, that's correct.
All right.
Yep. So just because you get funding for one cycle doesn't mean that, hey, you got to complete that project. No, it's if it's continuous, and we know how the deal is with science and other creative activity. It's an ongoing process. It's always a work in progress. So there's not always a cutoff date for completion of a project. And certainly go ahead and reapply for another round of funding. One of the biggest challenges we always get towards the end of the semester when the funds are about to expire is that sometimes those funds have expired, but the student and or mentor did not take advantage of expending. And then the deadline's been passed. What can you do? There's not a whole lot we can do in terms of allowing for extensions because this is state money that's on, especially in the spring semester. And we'll just think about this ahead of time here. In the spring semester, those funds those expenditures need to be expended by June 30th. And that's sort of the fiscal year deadline for the state. We have no control over that. So we normally ask students and mentors to make sure expenditures are carried out way before June 30th in order to get receipts processed and, of course, vendors paid or any other types of expenses paid well before the June 30th deadline. And so we often find some problems where students or mentors come back later and say, can we have an extension? And unfortunately, the answer is no to that. Thus, students, when you get that funding letter, hopefully you will, work it out with your administrative coordinator in the department that's named, and also your mentor. Make sure that all three of you are on the same page with expenses and deadlines. And that looks like Dolaline is typing another message. I guess we'll wait for the surprise question. Here it is. I see that we are typically not allowed to pay others for work contributing to the project. What are exceptions? Tracy, would you have answer that?
Let me see. I see that we are typically not allowed to pay others for work contributing to the project. Now, if they're going to be contributing a substantial amount to the project, like he had mentioned before, you can make them a co-PI, so that you all are getting that you're both sharing the assistantship for the project.
Right. So hopefully we're addressing that question correctly there. What about paying actors and performers?
That I'm not certain of. I can get a definite answer for you and get back to you on that one. But in most cases, depending what you're doing, the assistantship, depending on how many actors and performers you have, the assistantship is not a whole lot of money. So when you're talking about adding in others, but I can find out definitely if that's doable, or if they need to actually be co-PIs on the project.
Okay. Maybe we go to this sort of idea, Tracy. You know, in research projects where students carry out experiments, they might have to pay $25 or $50 to each subject or participant involved in the study.
Right.
Now, with state funds, can that pay for those types of comps for participants?
I mean, calling them participants, I'm not sure. If you say like consultants, maybe.
Yeah. But
possibly. But I would have to dig a little bit deeper just to be sure.
Okay.
For that one. So, is it Dolaline? I will find out that answer and I'll put it in the chat for you, so others can see that question, the answer as well. After today, you should still have access to it, so you'll be able to see what the answer is.
Okay. Because what I'm trying to relate this to is this, Tracy, that in the sciences, there are participants. There might be 20 participants. But if that's the same concept here with production and paying actors, aren't actors and performers also participants? And so I'm looking at here the FAQs, and let's see if we scan through some of these examples of not what the money cannot be used for in terms of state funds. And it doesn't cover everything. These are just a few examples. So maybe we're going to have to put it back on your shoulders, Tracy.
Yes, I'll need to find out, because once the money is dispersed to the departments, they'll need to know how to pay that out.
Right.
So if you're just saying participants or consultants, it's all done differently.
Okay.
So that's why I just want to get clarification on that before I just say yes.
Okay.
It can be done.
Maybe in parallel, Dolene, you should inquire with your admin associate within the department. Because eventually we're going to have to transfer the money. They're going to have to regulate how you use the money. We don't regulate how you use the money. Okay? We transfer the money. You know, Tracy's the bank. But she does understand, of course, the regulations. What you do with it afterwards is dependent upon your own department regulator, which is your admin. So I think you can work in parallel with Tracy here to try to get the answer before you expend any more energy in this application.
And you say you're in the theater department?
Okay. So again, just a clarification. When we say department administrator, whoever it is that manages on behalf of your department chair, budget, expenses, purchases, that's your administrator. Whoever that person is, that's the money we send it to when the student puts their name in the application. So it has to be the right person. Some departments have a grant manager. Some departments have an executive administrative associate. And typically we send it to the executive administrative associate in the department or unit. Now, if your department grant manager is one of the same person, then great. You know, they cover both bases.
Any other questions?
On the part of the application, when it asked for the information of the, it either phrased it like faculty member who would handle the grant funds or something similar to that. Is that just the department like grant manager?
The same. That's the person we're asking you to enter. And so your faculty mentor will likely know who is the person responsible in their department for handling funds.
All right.
Yep. That's why we urge all students consult with your faculty mentor. Who is the person? Give us the email, give us the exact name. They're going to be the one also on the award letter when we send that email to you, hopefully, your mentor, and that administrative assistant. You're all going to be part of the same email award letter. Any other questions?
We got one typing.
Okay. As I mentioned before, I'm working on it. I'll have it done maybe by tomorrow, and we'll have it posted. So just come back to the website. We'll have the FAQs updated. And what I was showing to you was a draft. Anything else? I'm just going to scan through real quick if I can pick out anything of importance here, just to elevate to the discussion. If you're an honor student, you can request another $500 on top of the maximum request for 1 or 2 students. Now, bear in mind that if you're an honor student and do get funded, the money is not going to be a guaranteed $500. It's up to pending what the honors college can contribute. But to go ahead and just request the $500 and max out on it, I suppose. Okay. So maybe we can stick around, if anything, for questions after this. For your professor, Dolaline. Yeah, so scanning through, I just don't see anything in terms of salience that I can elevate here for discussion other than what's already stated in the application. We will have the reviewers eventually determine, review your applications. It's competitive. Grants are competitive. And then we'll have a 2-week turnaround time from the time when they review, and then the award letters are sent out via email. And so please be patient. We'll get you some notices in due time. Okay. Well, with that said, all said, good questions. Thank you for bringing them up. And Tracy, do you have anything else to add?
No.
Okay. Everybody, good luck. All students, good luck to you. I hope to see those applications often, early, and being successful.
Hi, my professor came back. He has some questions for y'all.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, actually, I don't have questions. I just want to thank you guys. We're over in the film and video production office, a department in the School of Art and Design. And we've been active with you folks, and we really appreciate your support for our students. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I'm going to talk, Dolly is the student here who was in touch with you guys during the last hour. But yeah, we'll be back in touch with you. You have some more questions. We're going to have a few people apply. But anyway, thanks again for supporting students. Sometimes they don't have enough confidence to know their ideas are good, so they're too shy to apply. But you guys teach them that if you do apply and have confidence, sometimes you can get support. So that's really good. A good thing. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Don't be shy. Apply. And just to reinforce, piggyback on what you said there, basically, it's not, don't worry about asking. The worst that can be done is saying no, correct? So,
yeah. And even asking you guys during the application process, you don't mind if they have more questions for you later, do you?
Absolutely not. So please feel free to ask all the questions and just push them away.
Exactly.
Just push them to us. Yes.
Okay. Thank you
Very
guys
good.
very much.
All right. Thank
But
you.
Dolly, I'll try to get back to you no later than tomorrow with the question about the participants.
All right, thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Good luck. Tracy, thank you. See you later.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.